Should ODM be held accountable for the violence in Kibra? We'll be sampling some of your views live on air. Welcome, gentlemen, to the program tonight. And of course, I want to begin right there, the Thanksgiving that happened over the weekend in Kibra. And I'm glad Junaid Mohammed is here. Why is it that ODM seem to have been glorifying and celebrating the violence that happened in Kibra during that Thanksgiving?
No, ODM has not glorified anywhere any violence. And as far as we are concerned, there was no violence at all. It's only the Jubilee Tanga people were saying there was violence after they lost the election. And we celebrated our win. We never glorified any violence at all.
But speakers on the podium were really celebrating, talking about Boni Halwale with the stones, and also talking about making him run, you know.
No. We were shocked, like many other Kenyans, to see an old man of Halwale's age and stature in this country holding stones in Kibra. That's what we were, discussing. That's what we were shocked about in the rally.
What of Didmas?
We didn't know.
What of Didmas? And you celebrated, you had a cap on, and you even mentioned about it.
No, you see, Didmas left his cap behind. So
Really?
I have it.
Really,
in fact,
Mheshimiwa?
I wanted to give him today. I'm told he's in Pan-African Parliament.
What do you mean he left it behind? We saw him being harassed.
No, nobody harassed him. What happened, when Simba Arati came to that place, I was there also. Didmas greeted him. I mean, he greeted this Khalwale, the chief whip of the majority.
Washiali, yes.
Then as he was speaking to Washiali, Didmas started talking to
Simba
Arati. Then people told him, see, what are you doing? There was a lady, we have a lot of stories to tell Kenyans. One day we will say. There was a lady with a bag in that polling station called Mashimoni's quarters, who has been throughout with Didmas Barasa, full of money. She never left the station with some two huge guys. And he was asked a question, what is this lady doing here with these people? He couldn't answer. By the time he started, abusing people, then there was a scuffle.
Okay.
But nothing happened to him. He was not harmed.
I'd like to open this discussion, but before I open, because you're denying this, I'd like to play the bites, because I'm opening this discussion to the rest of the gentlemen. Let's hear what you said at the podium.
Saba, tunataka kufuruza hawa kunguni ambao wameingia huku wanataka kutusumbua. Muko tayari? Muko tayari? Na kuongezea ile amri ambaye Simba Arati ametoa. Mheshimiwa Simba na vijana wako, niko na international tender ya watu wawili. Wameniambia wao ni fit kama mimi, wanaweza kukimbia 100 meters in 1 minute and 59 seconds. Wa kwanza anaitwa Didmas Baraza. Nataka mtoe yeye Woodley mbio afike kule mwisho wa hii constituency 1 minute 59 seconds. Hiyo inaitwa Didmas challenge. Mumekubali hiyo? Mumekubali hiyo? Mwingine ni Khalwale. Pia yeye akimbia, ile kitu wanahitaji tu ni pace setters.
Nataka niwaambie ndugu zanguni, hii salamu ya Kibra, hivyo ndio tunasalimianga watu hapa Kibra. Hivyo ndio tunasalimianga hapa Kibra.
Sasa hii kofia, mimi nitakaa naye mpaka nisikie mwenyewe ni nani hiyo mwizi ambaye alikuwa anavunja nyumba ya mtu ni nani. Si mnamjua? Si mnamjua? Niliona yuko mtandao akisema we are colleagues, we are colleagues, we are colleagues. Hakuna hapo bwana. Mwizi hakuna wewe. Ati we are colleagues. Hii mali imetaifishwa, hii sasa ni yangu sasa.
Obviously, you don't have a defense. But let me, Kimani, listening to what they said in the platform, because you were in that campaign, this was celebrating what happened.
You know, what shocks me is sitting next to my colleague, as much as he's making fun of people calling him a colleague, and denying the obvious, because these clips that you're hearing clearly tell you what was happening and how premeditated and how organized it was. Because the clip you've just played of Sifuna, the Secretary General of ODM, was the Sunday preceding the election. And that is the Sunday you see them calling people Kunguni that have to be removed from Kibra. And Junaid, we may be laughing here, but it's a very serious matter in this country. Rwanda went the genocide way in 1994 when people started calling others Inyenze. Inyenze in Kinyarwanda is cockroach. It is the same games that you're playing and making fun of. And it's, I told them over the weekend, it is okay to make fun of what you did to Boni Khalwale. It is okay to make fun with a stolen cup from Didmas Barasa, an exhibit, by the way. You should not be here, you should be arrested by, anyway, you cannot be arrested because the people, part of your co-sponsors are the people who would be arresting you. But
what does that
Mijingu,
mean?
No, I don't know.
Mijingu, I will explain. I will explain. I will explain.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that this is not a matter that we should be making jokes about. The surest way to take this country the route of anarchy is started in this, what you may consider to be very small things. Kibra was not just an election that should have been allowed to go peacefully. It is only 2 or 3 years to the general election in 2022. If we are to tell Kenyans, and all of us have bedrooms, he has a bedroom in Migori, and I told him on Twitter the other day, the next thing, Junet, they will do, the same people who you are cheering today in Kibra, will also call you a Kunguni from Mandera, and they will evict you from Suna in Migori County. But these small incitements that we do and make fun of, that eventually become a problem to this country. I'm talking about their co-sponsors. Let me explain that because you challenged me.
Yes, I need him to sponsors who won't arrest you.
If you listen to that clip, you heard Sifuna specifically talk about Simba Arati. If you look at the events, either from Didmas to Ashiali to Mheshimiwa Ijendi, who are all beaten up in Kibra, the person who was leading the goons was none other than Simba Arati. Simba Arati was assured that nothing would happen to him.
Who assured Simba Arati nothing would happen?
You could ask Junet, is seated here. But I will tell you, there was a meeting the night preceding the election at a hotel in
And
Karen.
you're privy to that meeting?
I am privy to that meeting. And you can if you want to know, I don't want to name the name of the hotel for obvious reasons since we're in your station. But if you looked at the clips, there was a cabinet secretary, a principal secretary, and their party leader in a meeting preceding.
That I need to talk to these two gentlemen. Yes.
You see, we have not come here to Rumamonga, that there was a meeting in a hotel, and when you cannot substantiate. But beside that, you know, I don't like this double speak from certain politicians, that like Ichungwa and the gang he belongs to. He's talking about violence in Kibra when nobody died and nobody was hurt. When 3 weeks before that, we had a by-election in Malindi, in a ward called Ganda, where ODM won, and his colleague, his Tanga member called Aisha Juma, walked into a meeting and killed someone. Someone died and we went and buried.
It's still under investigation.
Correct.
What happened?
So can he condemn both?
Okay.
You know, he's dwelling on Kibra when they have killed someone in Kilifi.
I will respond to that.
Yes. Mheshimiwa Wamalo, obviously Ford Kenya was represented. I believe Boni Khalwale, although he has migrated, is on the other side with the deputy president, and I said he's going to support him. But Ford Kenya was also involved in this by-election. And what did you see? Because to me, what happened at the podium is ODM celebrating their victory, but in a fashion that is undesirable.
Yeah, thank
According
you.
to you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. But initially, I thought you were coming to discuss matters of ICPD, something that I've really been involved in, only to be told is about Kibra. Now, for Ford Kenya as a party, we had a candidate, Engineer Butichi, and we had somebody who was in charge, that is Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi. And before he came here, I called him and asked him, how was it? Did you experience any violence? Were you beaten? Then he told me he was not beaten, that he moved smoothly. But we condemned the violence that we've been seeing on media. But as far as Ford Kenya is concerned, there team leader who was Honorable Ferdinand. He said he moved easily. So I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me speak to ANC. You had also a candidate in Kibra.
Yes, and I went to Kibra. Thank you very much. And I think we should stop treating these things as if they are jokes. I am disappointed at the kind of levity that I'm witnessing from across the table, from Mheshimiwa. We have seen the clips right there. Someone inciting people and telling them that I want so-and-so to be chased out of this constituency. I went to Kibra myself with my party leader, Musalia Mudavadi, and the candidate Eliud Owalo and other members of the party. We got to Sarangombe, Kamkunji grounds, and we were pelted with heavy stones. We were told to get out, that this is Baba's bedroom. get out of here. Now, you cannot be talking about yourself as votaries of democracy, of peace, telling us about handshakes that are supposed to bring peace, and at the same time, you're beating people up. You should allow people the space to come, tell the electorate not to vote for us. If they do not want us, and you are persuaded that this is your stronghold, just tell the voters to reject us. I was almost hit on the head. Now, my head is my only asset in this country. And these people are hiring goons to come and stone me. And we reported these matters to IEBC several times.
When you say these people, you mean
ODM.
And you for certain say they were hired by ODM.
Certainly. It was ODM. Who else was talking about?
But how do you know they were hired by ODM?
Can this gentleman respect the rules of debate?
Yes.
When he was speaking, we were quiet.
How do you know they were hired by ODM?
They were there in the ODM uniform, in the ODM caps. They said Sarangombe was the innermost sanctum of the bedroom, and that we were not allowed to get into that bedroom. And they threw stones, they damaged vehicles, they hurt people. They are OB entries. The Kenya police just looks at these things. Now look, Mheshimiwa Junet Mohammed can counter these things here. Let me tell this country and tell the world that is watching and listening that this country is hurtling down the cliff. We will wish that we could sit here again and have conversations like this one. And we will not, Mheshimiwa Junet Mohammed. Let me tell you, there are many bedrooms out there. And if there's a bedroom in Kibra, which is sacrosanct, which nobody can get into, very soon, everywhere, we are going to speak the same language.
Okay.
And this country will
I
go
understand.
down the cliff.
These are just sore losers. These are people who are unable to accept that they lost an election.
The election
ANC got 5,000 votes. We defeated Jubilee. Barack Muluka was not on the ballot. Somebody from his party was on the ballot. Ichungwa was not on the ballot. The candidate of Ichungwa who was on the ballot conceded defeat. He called our candidate and said, I have accepted the election. If he knew there are other malpractices pertaining to that election, he will have petitioned. He will have gone to court. This country, we've seen a scenario where a presidential election was nullified. What is a constituency election? His own candidate accepted defeat and said, I concede defeat, because he believed the election was conducted properly in accordance with the Constitution. These are just people who are just whining. People who have lost, people who thought that they will get votes from this community, that community, people who thought that they can, pipe vote, do voter bribery. What we were doing in Kibra on that day, we have not attacked a single person. But what we made sure is that Jubilee did not get did not get an opportunity to buy votes, to bribe voters. We made sure people got opportunity to exercise their constitutional mandate of voting.
Okay.
So if they wanted to buy voters, that we rejected. And we will reject tomorrow.
Before Mheshimiwa Ichungwa speaks, you think what they're talking about and complaining about the violence, because I get where he's coming from. Everyone will have a bedroom soon in this country. Mheshimiwa Wamala will have a bedroom. You think it's just whining,
It doesn't matter. I'm not saying there are no bedrooms.
Yes.
You can have your own bedroom.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, there is a body called IEBC that conducted an election in in Kibra. They never nullified the election based on what these sore losers are talking about. They have lost elections. They must accept they have been defeated.
I think the contention is not about losing or winning.
First, they must accept that.
Yes.
Then we can move from that point.
I think if you listen to Junet, he's just trying to derail us from the discussion, away from the issue of violence now to whether or not they won the election. And as you rightly say, Mariga conceded, Owalo conceded, Butichi conceded, and they all conceded that they had lost in the election. But they never said that they lost fairly. And maybe that is one of the things you should teach your party and your party leader, that when you lose an election, irrespective of how you lost, first, concede defeat. Two, he did challenge me on the issue of Ganda Ward in Malindi. And when I said the confidence exhibited by Simba Arati as he commandeered goons and instructed them to rough up members of parliament who were pleading with him. First, there was no lady who was with the Honorable Didmas Barasa. The ladies who were there was Honorable Anab, Honorable Jaldesa, and Honorable Haika, and Honorable Ashiali. Those are the people who are with Didmas Barasa. There is no other lady who was carrying the bags. The story about voter bribery is something that they always do prior to every election. I was in the Malindi by-elections in 2015 or 2016. And the same script was played out in Malindi. And I remember Governor Waitito, who then was Member of Parliament for Kabete, was roughed up in Malindi. Why? Because certain ODM functionaries came there and said he was bribing voters. That is the same script that was being replayed.
Okay.
You are looking at a political party here and its leadership who believe that the only way to get to power is using violence. And it's characteristic of Raila Odinga and ODM right from the 1982 coup. Fast forward to his stint in Ford, Kenya. Come to NAC, the Kibaki NAC. Move on to 2007 and up to today. Even the people who killed people in Kiambaa was as a result of Raila Odinga not conceding defeat in an election that he had lost.
All right, gentlemen.
But the point, Mijingu, is there was violence, well-organized violence. And I told you why Simba Arati was so confident is because he knew
he was not going to be arrested.
That he was not going to be touched by anybody.